Cool. So we are live. We've got 0 on at the moment, so we'll give them a minute and
No problem.
see who tunes in.
No
Tuesday
problem.
night may not have been the best. We got a couple people on, but let's give it a few minutes and we'll wait.
You in Alabama tonight?
Yeah, man. Thankfully, our high school has state championship tomorrow night, so this is their 8th year in a row playing for it. 7A state championship. So it's here in Birmingham. So luckily we don't have to travel, but it's going to be freezing, dude.
8 years in a row. Yeah, that was a quick temperature drop, wasn't it?
Yeah. From like in the 70s and it being humid to freaking in the 30s. So I was in Clarksville, Tennessee yesterday, and was supposed to go up to MB Roland, but we ended up not being able to go. But we ran up there and went to Old Glory and back, but it was freezing there all day long in the 30s. So I'm sure. I guess you're down south tonight too, though, huh?
I'm in Louisiana tonight. We had Thanksgiving in Alabama, and I'm also recovering from a cold. So if I cough or have to swig some water down, please forgive me. But I think I can make it, no problems.
Cool.
Yeah, we've got. I can talk a little bit about the brand, obviously, when some more folks join. But I'm at our distillery in Louisiana, which we've done some commingled some projects together with Kentucky Owl. So we can talk to that.
Heather's been enjoying the gator bite, man, and I've got several other people liking that. So a buddy of mine can pick it up anytime he's in Louisiana. He lives right there, so anytime I'm through, I can grab them from him. And we've got several people they're on the old gator bite, so that's good stuff.
We starved the market a little bit. One of our capital projects in the distillery in Louisiana was a new bottling line, which took us from about 300 bottles an hour to almost 4,000 bottles an hour. And
wow,
about a year-long CapEx project. And we did deplete some of the market for that gator bite Satsuma that you're talking about, that orange liqueur, which everyone loves. And casinos are calling me and restaurants are calling me and, where's it at? Well, we just started running it yesterday on our new bottling line. So awesome. The relief is coming. So if there's anyone watching that's a consumer of the Bayou Satsuma liqueur made in Louisiana, it'll be back in inventory in the distributors very soon. Very soon.
They're enjoying the coffee liqueur as well. That's another one that they really like. So.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
It's a great brand. That you can probably see behind me on the barrels. I'm at that distillery for a couple days this week, but the bottling line is really neat, and I can talk a little bit about it, as we get the show rolling here. But there's all kinds of neat stuff going on within the organization, and a lot of it's centric to this facility here in Louisiana. So pretty cool.
Cool. Well, it's 7:03. We got about 12 people on, so we'll go ahead and get started. So guys, tonight we're going to interview Angelo, who is the president of Kentucky Owl. Kentucky Owl is a brand that I have kind of like been in and out of and not known a whole lot about. My history with it is a good friend of mine that I work offshore with. He and his wife actually went to school with Angelo's wife, and so that's kind of how I got connected to Angelo. And a few months ago, we were in Kentucky for Kentucky Bourbon Fest, and was able to meet Angelo, have a few drinks with him, and actually went by their headquarters there in Kentucky, and he just kind of run me through all of their products, and I was very impressed with what you guys are doing. So tonight I just wanted to kind of take the time to let you share with my members, who Kentucky Owl is, who Angelo is, and kind of, some of the things that are going on with the brand and what you're doing to kind of bring that brand to the forefront.
Sure. Yeah, Brandon, it was, first of all, the Bourbon Festival was great. I really enjoyed my time with you, taking you through the products. From a Kentucky Owl perspective, I've been the president of the company. This is my 4th year, and I see you're pouring a batch product right now, which was one of the products.
Yes.
The Bourbon Festival.
This batch 12 is one of my favorites, man. I love that whiskey.
polar opposite of batch 13, right? We always try to
Yeah.
switch it up a little bit. We want our consumers to get a different experience with
For sure.
each of the batch products. But I'm really a short timer in the bourbon industry. I've been in the spirits industry for 4 years. I was an executive for a large steel company for most of my career, but I was always a bourbon collector and connoisseur. I've got a rather large collection at my home in Alabama. I'm also an Alabama resident. I live in Loxley, near Gulf Shores. It's a hobby. It's a habit. It's a topic of conversation between my wife and I all the time. I mean, she knows it's my passion. And when the opportunity came up to get into the industry, I could not pass it up. And it has just been an incredible journey for me. With challenges, of course. I mean, if everything were easy, we'd all be doing it, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah. So brand history, it's such a unique brand. I was a Kentucky Owl fan before I became the president of the company, and had collected back to about batch 8, and had not experienced anything prior to that. I think I can give everyone a little bit of a historical synopsis of the company. Kentucky Owl was founded in 1879 by C.M. Dedman, Charles Mortimer Dedman. And he started as a pharmacist. And as you know, back in the 1800s, whiskeys and spirits and bourbons, they could be prescribed to you to cure ailments and to help you with some of your medical needs. Lots changed.
Even by your barber, I think, right?
Yeah, you could go to the barber and get a prescription for some whiskey. A few decades after that, Prohibition, took place. By that time, the Dedmans had their own distillery and had stockpiled quite a few years of aging barrels. And then at some point, as the lore goes, the federal government came and seized a lot of those barrels during Prohibition, moved them to an offsite warehouse. And then, it is rumored that the Chicago Mafia had come in, some organized crime, and burned the warehouse down. However, after a couple of days of the fire dying down, they found no traces whatsoever of barrels or barrel rings. So it's believed that those barrels were, put on a boat, shipped up into Chicago, and probably sold through speakeasies, for the next several years. So that's kind of what ended the company, but then resurrected by, Dixon Dedman, who is just an incredible person, and resurrected the brand, came out with Kentucky Owl, some new batch editions, but this time through procurement. So rather than distillation, it was, let's buy some of the best stuff we can and make some incredible expressions. And it worked really well, In fact, they were very small batch, very hard to get. You had to chase it. If you were a connoisseur, you had to know someone or know the store where it dropped. And he did just such a superb job making those first few batches. And it's just from there, Stoli Group, who although I'm the president of Kentucky Owl and several of the brands within the umbrella, for Stoli Group, I'm the vice president of manufacturing. Okay. So that involves tequila, vodka, anything that's under that umbrella. When Stoli Group got involved with Kentucky Owl, Stoli Group, as you know, global organization. And as most organizations who are global think, okay, let's ramp this thing up. Let's scale it. And that's what happened when Stoli got involved, is you started to see the batch sizes grow. Batch 10, 11, 12, even to 13, the batch sizes were considerably larger than when Dixon, took over the company, or resurrected the company. So
just more bottles per batch kind of thing. They were batching more whiskey together.
Of course, because now when you're under an umbrella of an organization that's multiple brands, you have distribution channels that small organizations and companies don't have. So now you're taking Kentucky Owl not just into some core states within the U.S., keeping it domestic. Now you're funneling it into Japan, Austria, Germany. So now that the brand is getting global attention. So at that point, you do need a larger batch size.
Makes sense.
You have to be able to get that product out there globally. So your distribution channels and the sizes going, amounts of volumes going into different markets change. And then some interesting things really started to happen, right? And the last 2 years, we saw a lot of things happen, market shift. I mean, I think everyone's beat the dead horse when we talk about COVID and what it did to everyone. Everyone's industry changed through COVID. Yeah. I don't care if automotive, furniture, spirits, it impacted you somehow. And interestingly enough, where some markets declined, COVID spiked the spirits industry.
Dude, steep, like straight up.
It's a rocket ship climb. I mean, it may as well been a Tesla putting satellites out there. It was just incredible. So all these brands were experiencing this surge in our market because people were entertaining at home and having hosting parties at home, and they were becoming connoisseurs and having their own tasting parties, and it was just incredible. But then it just plummeted after that for a few reasons. People were experiencing new things when the markets opened back up, but also generational. I think anyone on the live stream can probably attest to that. Folks that are younger, this younger generation that are being more health conscious, choosing non-alc beverages, different lifestyles. In fact, I read an interesting article yesterday morning about cannabis users. Cannabis users are 30% less likely to consume alcohol when consuming cannabis. So if that's your way to relaxation, you're less likely to pour a bourbon or whiskey or any spirit, in fact. So
for sure.
Somewhat of a market decline over the last 2 years. So that also has changed a lot of large companies that have multiple brands under the portfolio. How do we address this? It's been quite a challenge.
My question to you is, and I assume that you look at the numbers more so than I do, because everything that I'm speaking on is assumption, but just thinking statistically, 2020, 2021, you had that steep rise. So, you had the baseline market for bourbon and whiskey, and then you have this steep, just out of characteristic spike. Mm-hmm. And I feel like today we're just really seeing a market correction that may put us back at baseline or just above it. But are we really crashing? Are we going below the baseline prior to 2018? Like, are sales lower than what they were in 17, 18? I would think you may know that. I don't know that.
Yeah. I mean, every brand has, different category niches. And, of course, we range from the Wiseman products all the way up to our batch products. So you're talking $50 up to $400. Mm-hmm. You really have to study those SKUs and see what's moving. And if you're not analyzing the data, then you're not doing a good job running the organization. You have to. I'm not saying you have to be a data chaser, but you have to take some hints and cues from what the market's doing to be able to make the right move. And you have to listen to consumers, right? Consumers currently, we transitioned from these investors that are these consumers that were just buying anything they can. And you saw at home people's shelves looking just like the shelves behind you, like they wanted to buy it all.
That's right.
The label looks cool, I'm buying it. If it's something my buddy said I liked, I'm buying it. Now, consumers are becoming quite savvy and intelligent. And if you're a manufacturer like we are, you have to really study that. What are they looking for, and how do you recover from a down market like we've had in the last 2 years? So the last year we've spent strategizing a lot, as we've taken some incredible financial hits as well. So as a Stoli Group, portfolio, it didn't just impact our bourbon brands, but all of the brands. So it right now has been difficult. I think we all have to get a little smarter about what we do to the market. And when I say what we do to the market, I also mean as a manufacturer. Some of that was self-inflicted, Brandon. I mean, you're a connoisseur. You're a collector. What did the liquor store bourbon whiskey aisle look like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and today? I mean, it went from a 5-foot section to sometimes 2 aisles or 50% of the store. So we didn't do ourselves any favors by saturating the market with SKUs. I mean, it's been, some of this was our own doing.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it got reckless, right?
The organization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's just been an adjustment, I think, for all of us. So now I think we have to be a little more intentional with what we come up with now in the market. And price is a huge factor there, right? Because I think
it is
the luxury bourbon market where you're, $150+ Oh, that's a small market. It really is a small market. And some of the movement or decline that we saw in our batch editions, which started at 300+, is dwindling. You also have to look at your placement and this is somewhat new to me. Remember, I came from the steel industry into bourbon industry, which is all about retail and market and consumer.
Right.
It's interesting to see what it does when you reach that $100 price point, and now your product is sitting in a locked case, and people can't grab it and look at it and read the label, and how much it moves when it reaches the 99 and below price point. So you really have to look at that too. What audience are you looking for? What's the volume you want to hit, and what size batches are you going to release? And there's just so much to it. It's just an interesting industry, and I've learned a lot in the last 4 years.
And does the product quality and consistency match these price points? And then you have your suggested retail price, but then you also have these retailers that, put it on the shelf and they steer it as they want to. And so, some of them can kind of park you if they want. And I think that's unfair as it is as well. But I agree. That's where you see most Kentucky Owl stuff is in a glass case. And it just, makes you wonder, like, is that bottle limited edition special worthy of that price point or not? And a lot of us are just afraid to try it. Right.
No, that's a great point. Some are afraid to try it because that's an investment. And especially in the last couple of years, we've had some economic uncertainty, right? I mean, a lot of that has to do with, a change of administration. No one likes to get political, right? But it's cyclical. I don't care who's incoming as a president. There's always that first year as the as the administration changes of what's going on. So everyone's a little less likely to spend money. But a good example of people just shelving your product and kind of stalling it. I mean, this is the one I'm sipping on tonight, which I think we tried in Kentucky together, was the 11-year rye that we finished in a rum barrel. Our MSRP for it was like $4.99, and I'll walk into a small liquor store in Alabama and I'll see it for $800. And like, no wonder why you're still sitting on this. We released it 3.5 years ago, but that tells me a couple things. People value the product, which is great, right? They do think it's a good product. But two, it makes it almost inaccessible to 90% of our audience and our consumers. So that it does us a disservice. So,
Well, when you're battling as many SKUs on the shelf out there as you're talking about, I mean, there's just there are some really, really good products out there for a lot less. And there are some products out there, in my opinion, that are deserving of their prices, but it's got to just make it super tough for your brand if you're not resonating with the consumer, like some of these other limited editions that we're all chasing out here, and those and who they are. People will pay whatever for them, regardless of quality, because they assume it to be good. But I wonder, like you were talking about, Kentucky Owl, Mastoli, and being international, relatively to price, like internationally, are y'all's products relative overseas price wise to what they are here?
They are. Yeah, they are.
Okay.
And, we obviously, because we're part of a global, portfolio, we have some incredible insight into those markets. And it's really neat to see what Austria and Germany have done in the last, since 2024. I mean, they've experienced almost 200% growth in the bourbon whiskey market, which is insane. I mean, it's been talk about, just a rocket ship. So, Japan was before that. I mean, incredible growth in Japan. Price point comparable, right? So you didn't see Kentucky Owl change from this market to that market. Not a huge difference.
That almost sounds like Germany's kind of going through something like we went through during COVID, right? Which Japan went through prior to us in COVID.
Yeah, you could say that. What we have to do from a messaging, from a portfolio message, is our consistency in what our mission is, and that's to be transparent with who we are. We haven't been distilling our own product. I think everyone knows that. 5 years ago, that was faux pas to say that you were a blender.
For sure.
But there is an art to procurement. There is a network involved with procurement. Well, as you know, you've done barrel picks and knowing who has what. I mean, you've sent me some messages. Hey, I heard you have some 18-year Sazerac, right? Like, I get, those are the text messages I get all the time. And procurement is an art. But then you take it to the next level of, now you've got these beautiful liquids. You better have a team that knows flavor profiles, tasting notes, blending, the chemistry behind it, the art, if you will, in the lab, how to break it down and achieve or target certain audiences. What's the profile that's going to appease a larger amount of people versus a flavor profile that's going to only get 5% of the market. There is just a real
tough job
behind it. And I think people are understanding that you really have to know what you're doing. So our message is, look, we have an incredible blending team, and we have some heavyweights behind us that have helped us create this team. I mean, John Rhea, who was, the CEO of Four Roses, was our blender for a long time. Maureen Robinson, first female Hall of Famer Scotch maker from Johnny Walker, 46-year veteran. And they're teaching people like Chris Knight, who has been brought up in the rum making industry, who is now one of our blenders for bourbon. I mean, we have got, just all-star lineup of people that make liquid and blend liquid. And there's something to be said for that. So I think if we keep focusing on the art of blending, until we do, of course, start distilling our own, and that in combination with not saturating the market with these large numbers, and forcing people to chase a little bit again and making it fun, be able to find it. Now I feel like, and this is just me being honest and transparent, you can walk into a liquor store and find Kentucky Owl, sometimes 2, 3, 4 bottles of a batch edition, and might have a little dust on the shoulders of the bottle. I don't want to see that anymore. So some of the things that we're looking to do is, smaller batch sizes, and going back even further to what we were talking about, price point, making it something that's attainable for a larger portion of our consumer base, staying at the $100 or below price point where it's not locked in a glass cabinet and they're not, retailers aren't worried about theft. Something, a bottle that someone can pick up, read the information about what's in the blend, where's it from, tasting notes, what's the nose on it, what's the finish on it, and give them a real experience. So a lot going on and a lot to shoot for within the brand. But as long as we stay true to who we are, just being the best at blending right now and having an all-star team of blenders and focusing on a core market, I think we're going to be fine. And we'll ride out some of the financial storms that are going on within the entire industry, not just our own.
Well, and that you talking about the blending team, I don't think a lot of people realize the depth that you guys have on that team. And I may be wrong. You may have to remind me, but I feel like you told me that your guys, when they go in to sit down and blend a batch and they're tasting, they do it first thing in the morning. They haven't even had coffee. Like, there's nothing on their palate that disturbs them. And they are very methodical about how they go about doing that. So you've got people that have a background in Scotch, whiskey, bourbon, rum, and they're all coming together for different like perspectives.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's neat to see when we we obviously try to work on a funnel of innovation, if you will. And innovation, if you've talked to any executive or brand representative from any company, innovation is huge part of what we do as a business to stay relevant. And when you have a team like we do, and you talk about blending, getting serious, I was amazed. What do you got there?
That probably won't show up on the camera. I don't think that'll show up, man. My camera's too far. But I mean, you have Kentucky Owl stamped on the inside.
On the inside of the cork, yeah.
I mean, it's just the little details, right?
It is the details. But details like the blending team, being new to this, fairly new to the industry, seeing a team that comes in, like you mentioned, some of them are so fanatical about it, they won't even brush their teeth if they know they're going in to do a tasting.
That's wild.
That morning, like, not brush my teeth till that's done. So sorry for my morning breath, but not going to eat distilled water only. They're just so particular about it, and it's a war room in there. You've got 3 or 4 people in there. Chris Rennell, who's our 20 plus year vet in the rum making industry. Maureen Robinson, 46 years. You've got 100 years of people in there, and you see 1,000 miniature Glencairns and bottles and notes and the flavor wheels, spread out all over. And it's so incredible to watch. And I've been really blessed to even be in the room with them, It's
just awesome to know that, you guys take it that serious. And I don't know that people really understand that. We all assume that people put in the least amount of effort for the most amount of profit, right? And when you find somebody that truly cares about their product, and there are a lot of brands that do, there are several brands that I feel like maybe they don't as much, but I think we all assume that they're doing the least, right? And then you hear about these guys that are really going the extra mile to make the best product. It gives me a different respect for it. Scott McFadden was asking, is there a specific flavor profile you guys are looking for in each of your batches? And I know you told me the biggest goal was for each batch to be different than the last. Yes. So much so that you wouldn't be like comparing the 2 batches, or I'd just rather get this batch over that batch. They're really distinctively different.
You nailed it. To us, it's about experience. We would, an example, batch 12 and 13, you and I tasted side by side in Kentucky at my office, and
totally different.
It really needs to be a different experience for the consumer, because if they all start to taste the same, then what's the point? Then you're just it's no longer a small batch to me. But those 2, an example, are incredible, right? Like, one, you're getting a lot of front end and less trailing, Kentucky Hug. The other one, you're getting less on the front end, mild, kind of ease into some heat, but then a lot of that traditional Kentucky Hug and flavor that stays for a while. So it should be a different experience, because especially for a batch product in the past, when we're retailing for $300 to $400, or if you're some of these other liquor stores that are putting it at $600 and $700, it better be different. Otherwise, you're going to get bored. And we never want the consumer to be bored.
For sure. So Chase was asking, do you guys list what's used in each batches, like the minimum age mash bills? He's never had a Kentucky Owl product.
Okay, that's a great question. So in the past, in Chase, I'm definitely never one to skirt questions. I feel we've done a poor job in the past giving the consumers data about the age statements, and also there's some nuances around when blending products, what you can and cannot put on the label about the liquids you're using, because it could give up or the identity of where your sources are. Sometimes the sources are okay with it, sometimes they're not. So some things that we do plan on improving on our future labels, which you'll probably see in 2026 with some of our new innovation projects, is some more information about age statements. May not say the exact percentage of, let's say, malted barley or wheat or corn, but it may say heavy corn, heavy barley. We'll give some more information that can lead you into, okay, this is what I can expect from it. In the past, not so great at it. In the future, definitely improving to get better.
Let's see here. All right. So Roland saying that, if you get the juice to the price point under $100, then he's finally going to pounce on it. And you're absolutely 100% right, on track. So in the future, so we're talking about MSRPs of $300 and $400 per bottle now. Do you see you guys getting products into the sub $100 category, sub $200 category, or like what kind of changes are you kind of seeing there? And I know, like we talked about that before, right? A lot of that had to do with the way things were procured and sourced previously, and the way that you guys were operated, and where the prices come from, right? It's not you guys just ultimately trying to ream the customer. It's that, man, we've got this product, we've got this much in it. For us to break even or make a profit, this is where we need to be, right?
Yeah, financial sense, right? And I think that's a question I field all the time. Well, look, you've been president of the company now for going on 4 years, and the last 2 batch products you've made have been over $300. Well, yes, because there's bourbon that we purchased as late as 8, 9, 10 years ago, and that price is fixed. It is, we paid for it what we paid for it, and we can't give it away. So when we use it in some of these innovation projects, it has to be priced so that, like any company, you have to make revenue to stay
for sure,
to stay operational. But now, over the last couple of years, we've been able to procure some liquids, and also some of the contractual agreements we've had with other distillers, where we've been sitting on liquids for 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, that we know we had a better price on. And now we're intentionally making some blends with that'll keep us under that $100 price point. So yes, unfortunately that was a long answer. Sorry about that, but yes, we do have some SKUs coming out that will be under $100, far more affordable. But the caveat is that quality that you get from our blending team and our procurement team doesn't disappear. It's still going to be a traditional Kentucky Owl, knock your socks off product. So I'm very excited about some of the things that are in our innovation funnel that you'll see as soon as 2026.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Let's see here. Getting some long ones here. Alabama, I'm slow at reading here.
That's okay. I can tell you right now, a lot of the questions we get, are process related. I go to a lot of trade shows and bourbon festivals all over. Private bourbon events where they'll bring us in and we'll do tastings, which I think is great. And if we have the manpower, the bandwidth, our team's gonna try to be there. But a lot of the questions are, tell us about the process. Where do you store it? Where's it bottled? Where's it made? a lot of our product is still stored in Kentucky, either at the distiller where it was made or at a rick house where we're leasing the space. When we know we are going to make a project or bottle a project, because we do not have a distillery or bottling line in Kentucky yet, we will actually ship the barrels to our rum distillery, which is where I'm at right now in Louisiana, where we will blend it. Our blending team will all come here to Louisiana. And then the team here that bottles several other products for us will bottle it. So a lot of the Kentucky Owl product that you'll find says Lacassine, Louisiana, which is a tiny little town almost to the border of Texas, where most of our product has been bottled since let's just say 2019.
Gotcha. Now I know you guys are underway with building your facility there in Kentucky, which on the map looks very, very impressive. I believe you told me somewhere in there a future project would be for you guys to build distillery where you were going to put equipment and start selling your own product.
Correct. We do have about 430 acres. It's one of the larger parcels that's in the city limits of Bardstown. It's an incredible property. It was a rock quarry that we purchased. So there's some really neat limestone water features, obviously, which is great. We put together a lot of plans. I think sometimes people laugh about it when they hear about it, or like, look, you've been talking about it for a long time. And of course we have a project of that nature and size. There's a lot of planning around it. I mean, you're talking about likely $200 to $300 million by the time we start to finish it. But the land is there, the water source is there for incredible bourbon making. Of course, Bardstown is there. Since I've come on board, I've tried to create or foster some key relationships in that town. Now, because of the economic issues we've had in the last couple of years, has slowed the progress there. But overall, site plans include a distillery, a bottling line, amphitheater, hotel, restaurant, rec park, boating. It's really, you can do a lot with 400 acres. So
it looked very impressive.
We really would like it to be. Yeah.
Would you say that's probably what you're most excited about in the future for Kentucky Owl, or is there something different?
Well, of course I'm excited about that. I mean, my background is greenfield projects, huge projects for steel mills. I planted steel mills all over the U.S. and Mexico, and those projects are always fun to see it go from, trees and earth to beautiful structures and goods going in and finished goods coming out and consumers, getting products. I mean, to see it from start to finish is really fulfilling. This would be my first greenfield site project for the spirits industry. And to me, of course, I'm totally pumped about it. We've got some economic challenges to get through, which I'm sure everyone on this call has probably Googled Stoli and see some of the stuff that our parent company is going through, which is, unfortunately not exclusive to us. A lot of large conglomerates, or some of our biggest competitors even are going through some challenges, financially. But I have no doubt in my mind we'll get through them. The industry remains nimble. We all are remaining, nimble and trying to maintain a laser focus on getting through some of these challenges so that we can go back to some of these projects like Kentucky Owl Park, which we would just be elated to finish. We did start some of the groundwork there. We cut in roads. We've done a lot of engineering work. We've worked with architects, and we've got plans in place. Now it's a matter of getting our finances right and pulling the trigger there. We have other brands like Bayou Rum in Louisiana. where we said, okay, we've got a distillery that has got a rich history, very versatile. Logistically, it's positioned great, central U.S. and Louisiana. So we've got some good capabilities here. We've done some major CapEx enhancements here. We put in a $3.5 million bottling line, some
Nice.
process enhancements. We're looking at a warehouse expansion to be able to handle some of the growth here. And then eventually later on, when we're a little more stable financially, we'll move on to the Kentucky Owl Park project.
I haven't had a whole lot of the Bayou Rum stuff. Obviously, I've had the Gator Bite coffee liqueur, which Heather really loved. And I'm assuming those are, obviously two totally different entities that are subsidiaries of Stoli. One maybe not totally benefiting the other. Is there a lot of future growth for Bayou Rum, or is the largest amount of growth really for Kentucky Owl?
Well, within the portfolio, we really have a little bit of everything. We've got tequila, we've got vodka, we've got gin. Tequila in all, overall is in a little bit of a slump. Bourbon continues to have some growth. Like I mentioned, global markets, Germany, Austria is huge. In the U.S., the top three always for us are California, Texas, and Florida. Those markets continue to grow. They're the biggest consumer base we have. However, we are working in areas where we see potential. Alabama, one of them, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia's. But yeah, I think Bayou Rum is a great brand because in the U.S., it's the largest rum distillery from a square foot perspective. So it's a pretty large facility, and by volume, we can produce the most in the continental U.S. But it's got capabilities to co-pack as well for our other brands, like the vodka, like the bourbon. So this is a really interesting place. And culturally, it's interesting too. Louisiana is full of just crazy cool culture. The vibe is so cool. And we've done some co-mingling of brands, right? Like the one I'm tasting tonight, that 11-year rye that we actually finished in some of our Mardi Gras XO rum barrels. And that's an interesting product in its own. It's a rum. It's a double cask, aged 6 years in a Kentucky Owl bourbon barrel, taken out of that barrel and finished for a year in a Pedro Jimenez wine or sherry cask. Once we dump those barrels, we put this 11-year rye in there and finished them in the rum barrels. So we've done some neat projects together, and that's where this came from. So Kentucky Owl Mardi Gras XO, we did it about 3.5 years ago, and it's a rum finished bourbon. So there's some synergies between the two, and play on, from brand to brand and do some cool, fun stuff. We're definitely going to do that. Won't be the last.
That's awesome.
Won't be the last co-branded innovation project. That's for sure.
I would think with it being such a vast umbrella under Stoli, with everything that we just mentioned, tequilas, the rums, the vodkas, the bourbons, the whiskeys, and then the fact that you're totally international and you've got places like Germany, peeking out right now, like that has to make the future look bright, even in the light of, all the financial adversity that you spoke of. So I personally am pretty excited for what you guys have going. James was saying, with Premier Spirits being associated with very high age statements, does Kentucky Owl have any such projects in the pipeline?
With very high age statements.
And I guess relatively speaking, we're talking Kentucky. That's maybe 18 years in Kentucky, 20 years. Yeah,
that's 18 to 20 years. We do have some great stuff sitting in rick houses. Obviously that's ultra premium on up. We, in our brand plan, we do have some small projects where it's very, very low batch size, and it's the ones that you would chase. Unfortunately, I can't give too many cues or hints about what those are. If my brand manager is watching right now, she would just she'd probably slash my tires. But we do have some things with some older age statements coming. So in the
Awesome.
pipeline for sure. I think as we circled the wagons and tried to rehuddle or regroup, we looked at our funnel for innovation and said, what do we need to do? What's the market or consumer base that we need to focus on? I would say our number one priority right now is that market base that's looking for good stuff under $100. Mm-hmm. And then the smaller pieces of the pie for our total portfolio will be the $100 to $300 price range, and a very small percentage for the ultra premiums, where you may see an 18 or 20 year product that's might be $1,000 a bottle.
Exciting. So what is your personal favorite Kentucky Owl product? And similarly, what is your favorite non-Kentucky Owl whiskey?
Oh gosh, I have such a wide variety.
I hate that question because I never can say. I don't have one hands down favorite whiskey, right?
It's difficult to say my hands down favorite. So let's talk about Kentucky Owl products. I'll put it in two categories: stuff that I was a part of and stuff that I was not a part of. Batch 8, I love it. I love the finish on it. Batch 10, holistically or well-rounded product. I just come into the company after we had released Batch 10. Batch 10, Kentucky Owl, is my favorite. I wish I could say I had something to do with it, but I didn't. But it's my favorite. Okay. My wife will tell you I'm really excited about the Batch 1 that I just found.
I was just about to bring that up. I saw it. I'm so jealous, man.
Batch 1, I got a bottle of Batch 1. Good friend of mine out of New York is a big collector. And he said, hey, I've got a bottle. Sent it to me. And he also, as a surprise, sent me a Kentucky Owl Dry State, if you know about that. Kentucky Owl Dry State, I'll let the folks online do a little research. Very limited size batch. The Dry State was a hard to find SKU, and I did happen to get I think I got bottle number 900 of like 3,000 of that Kentucky Owl Dry State. So I'm pretty pumped about that. Haven't tried it yet. Don't know if I open it. If I do, maybe it's you and I doing it.
Dude, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So
did you ever crack the Batch 1 or not yet?
I haven't.
Or do you even plan to?
Well, I haven't cracked it yet. Our youngest son just got engaged. Maybe on his wedding night. Maybe that's maybe I'll crack that. Well, that would be awesome. We've got 4 kids ranging from 19 to 25, and the two boys in the middle. The girls are the bookends. The youngest boy just got engaged last weekend. That seems like a perfect time to crack open Batch 1, maybe when the first of the 2 boys gets married.
Well, the fact that if we're gonna speak on families and we're gonna speak on wives, I mean, absolutely, you and Jessica look like celebrities, and on some of the Facebook pictures I see, y'all's wedding pictures are absolutely fantastic. But when I finally met you guys in person, I'll just go ahead and tell everybody that's on here right now, Angelo made me look absolutely horrible. I'm at his place where they actually stay here, and that's their facility right at Kentucky Owl in Kentucky. So Heather and I go there, and I'm tasting through a bunch of different things. Angelo disappears, and he comes back downstairs. He's like, babe, I got all the sheets torn off the bed. I got the plants watered. I got your bag packed, and I got your dresses steamed. I'm like, you did all that in like the amount of time that I tasted 3 whiskeys? So we come home, and I totally unpacked all of our bags, got everything hung up, and started doing laundry. And Heather's like, what are you doing? I was like, Angelo made me look bad. Like, I got to get busy here. So,
oh, that's so funny. Well, first of all, I felt like a terrible host, but I also knew that there was some stuff to be done. And
no, you're fine.
Oh man, Jessica's my best friend, and we really
y'all are great, man.
We try to help each other out as much as possible, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the compliments. She is a social media person, and she puts our whole lives out there. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes people know maybe too much about us, but I would say that we're both very down to earth, humble people and family
100%.
oriented. And Jessica will tell you this. I never meet a stranger. I don't care where we're at. We could be in a liquor
Same.
store. Someone sees me and they're like, aren't you the, whatever brand they're associating me with. And
Right.
and I will talk to anyone. I'll have a sip with anyone. And I love people. And I think that's one of the
I'll
reasons
vouch for that.
the spirits industry is about people, right? I mean,
Yeah.
to me, it's just an incredible industry. So
Agreed.
fortunate to get to meet you. We stay in touch. We text. We communicate. I think y'all are great. It's been fun getting to know you.
Yeah, we feel the same. Heather's always picking at me and looking at me sideways, like I need to step my game up. So, let's see here. What? So James is saying that that dry state will hurt your pocketbook.
Yes, it
Hard,
sure will.
one of those, huh? Hard to
It
get.
is one of those. I think you might be able to find it for $2,000 or $3,000 right now.
Wow.
And actually, we have a distillery release product at Bayou Rum that we finish in the dry state barrels. So it's a triple cask rum, and the final cask it rests in the dry state barrel. But yeah, I haven't had it yet, so I'm just like, when do I open it? What's the right time? What's the right occasion? But to get batch 1 and dry state showed up in the
same year.
I was blown away. I showed up and it was on my porch. I'm like, what's this? Jessica's like, what is it? I don't know. And I'm opening the boxes and my jaw dropped. I'm like, what is this? Who sent this to me? I was just so excited about it. Crazy. I mean, realistically, that batch 1, I think, is probably around $5,000 or $6,000 for that bottle. So I had almost $10,000 of bourbon sitting on my front porch when Jessica and I got home from a trip. It was awesome.
That is wild.
It was wild.
I need to make a trip over there to the rum distillery and do some video and stuff with you guys. I know I need to get back over to Lafayette and do some stuff with Philip at Distillery Acadienne, so wouldn't be much further to come your way. So Scott is also asking.
This is a great question. Living or dead?
You like that? Yeah.
Oh gosh, this is so interesting to me. There are so many incredible people, and pop culture is so interesting to me, and people are interesting to me. Living or dead, musician or actor or athlete. Ooh, this is great. I think if I had to choose, I might pick James Gandolfini.
Oh, wow.
When I think about actors who really impressed me, everyone sees him and they think about Sopranos, right? But if you look at some of his other work, what an incredible actor. And what an awesome family man as well. And his ability to turn a script into a character, I think, was just incredible. A personality, very magnetic. I thought he was incredible. Very sad to see him pass away at such a young age. I was a fan of all of his work. Of course, I'm Sicilian, Italian background, heritage. And so, automatically I'm just kind of drawn a little bit to some of the stuff he's done. But I think that would be a cool lineup.
That would be. I mean,
something like that.
To that, I think that's another thing that people think, these actors just get in front of the camera and just do their thing and it just comes natural and like there's nothing to it. And I'm going to tell you right now, the first time I ever got in front of a camera, recording is one thing. Live stream, scared to freaking death, dude. And, I think back to high school and maybe even junior college of standing up before your speech class and trying to speak like just totally weird. And then you see these people like him, like Denzel Washington, like Will Smith, the people that are these great actors, Al Pacino. Man, these guys are amazing. Like,
they are amazing. It's a craft. It truly is a craft. And then I look at someone like James Gandolfini, who I think, from a personal life perspective, was really in tune with his family. Loved to travel, loved food, loved art, and I think he was just embodied to me a really cool person that I would have loved to know. And that's a great question, Scott. Who would you pick first? I think he'd be my first pick. I probably have a lineup of about 10, but if I could bring that guy into a project, that would be cool.
That would be cool. Seth had asked, let me put his up there real quick. He just asked, do you remember like what whiskey got you to enjoying bourbons?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Interesting. One of the first ones that really just really got me into it was a blend, and it was an old Bibb and Tucker blend.
Oh wow.
I was like, wow, this is really good. And then I think the second one that I tried that was a blend, because in the beginning I was barrel proof, non-blended and very traditionalist. And then the blends, I started to understand the art behind it and how they were doing it, and some of the, barrel or stave finishing. Joseph Magnus was cool to me. Things that you would be like, man, you had access to all this stuff and that's what you liked. Yeah.
Right.
Even Clyde Mays blew me away with some of the stuff that they came out with. And I'm just a fan of everyone's. I will never say I hate that, or I think that's terrible, or I don't like what they're doing, because much like an actor, you may not like one film, but then you see them in the next film and you're like, ooh, good job.
For sure.
I'm a fan of anyone that puts it out there and puts it on the line. If you're going to blend something or create something, who am I to say that it's bad? Does it match my palate or, what I really loved? Maybe not, but kudos to them for trying it. And I'm definitely
that's exactly my take.
Yeah, I'll be the first one to sip it. I mean, you and I tried some stuff together in Kentucky that I'm like, okay, I liked it. And some I was like, not for me, but I get why other people like it. So, great question. Yeah, I tried some weird stuff, and I've tried some brands that people would be like, no way. But of course, I mean, I'm a fan of it all. I collect it all, and my bank account probably shows it.
So Lance is saying, would you ever consider making a special batch from your background in the steel industry? So maybe a steel rye.
Yes, I have had this. I've had this conversation with, I still stay in touch with my dear friends that I've, almost, 30 years in manufacturing of steel, and a lot of them bourbon connoisseurs and whiskey connoisseurs, and we've had that exact conversation. I would definitely consider something like that. The question is, could I get our corporation or our conglomerate, our group to buy into something like that? Maybe not. If I had my own whiskey company that I owned, yeah, damn straight I would.
Well, look, man, we're right at time, so I'll give you a minute or so here to kind of wrap up. If there's anything that you're wanting to say to everybody, I'll thank everybody for tuning in, and hopefully they've learned a little bit about Kentucky Owl and you, and have a little bit more insight and perception on the brand. So that was the goal of tonight.
For sure. Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I'm, Brandon, super appreciative of this. I mean, this has just been really, love the opportunity. I do podcasts and live streams, any opportunity I can. I rarely say no. You've become a personal friend, so doing this has been really cool. I'd like to say thank you to the consumers, the folks that are fans. I would say stick with us. Don't let the bumps in the road or the speed bumps shake you off. I hope that you're clinging on the hood of that car with me when I go over the next speed bump. There'll always be more. It's a heck of a ride, and I would just say stick with us. A lot of neat stuff coming.
Awesome.
You're so appreciated. If you're a Kentucky Owl fan, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Always feel free to reach out to me on Facebook, social media, LinkedIn. email. I definitely look forward to. I've seen friend requests coming in right now. As I'm saying that, I just had 2 or 3 of them. But yeah, awesome. I'm very approachable, very people centric. Hope to see you at the Bourbon Festival or communicate with any of you in between now and then. If you're in Louisiana, stop by our Bayou Rum Distillery, where my main office is. If you're in Bardstown, look me up. I'm there at least once a month. Or if you're in Alabama, stop by the Heart of Dixie and come see me.
Awesome. Y'all take care. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.